Hey Cowboys Nation, let's go for another round of news from America's team. Watch until the end so you don't miss any news and sign up to stay tuned for everything that comes out about the Cowboys.
Cowboys HC shares mixed messages on Micah Parsons missing OTAs. Dallas Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy offered some interesting takes on Thursday regarding star pass rusher Micah Parsons not actively participating in the voluntary offseason program this spring. "I think any time that you have a chance to be together, it's an opportunity to improve," McCarthy said, as shared by Nick Harris of the club's website and ESPN's Todd Archer. "Whether it's in the mental realm, the physical realm, and the emotional connection and so forth. It's a long year. Training camp is really the heightened focus for all of that, but it's definitely an opportunity that's been missed for Parsons." For an article published on Wednesday, Archer said that Parsons' desire for a long-term contract extension is likeliest to be on the back burner for the Cowboys as they instead focus on the unsettled futures of quarterback Dak Prescott and wide receiver CeeDee Lamb. Dallas holds Parsons' rights through at least the 2025 season via the fifth-year option attached to his rookie contract, and could use the franchise tag to retain him through 2026 if necessary. Parsons' absence from most of the offseason program has not been a contract ploy but rather his desire to train on his own, Archer added for that article. McCarthy's words nevertheless may cause one to believe he's upset Parsons isn't embracing more of a leadership role and working with new defensive coordinator Mike Zimmer. According to Archer, McCarthy was sure to point out on Thursday that Parsons has been around the facility more than people know and has had one-on-one meetings with coaches to learn about changes Zimmer has planned for the defense. "He's engaged and he'll be ready when it's time," McCarthy said about Parsons. "I have confidence in that. That interaction is going on with Zimmer. I feel comfortable that he will be ready to go." As shared by ESPN Stats, Parsons and Myles Garrett of the Cleveland Browns finished this past regular season tied for 7th in the NFL with 14 sacks. Garrett ultimately claimed the Defensive Player of the Year award for the campaign. For Patrick Walker of the Cowboys website, the team's mandatory minicamp is scheduled to begin this coming Tuesday. McCarthy may sing a different tune about Parsons if the two-time first-team All-Pro fails to report to the club on time next week. Cowboys trade pitch sends out top picks for superstar to pair with CeeDee Lamb. This would certainly be a doozy, however unlikely. But if the Cowboys have an urge to truly throw their cap issues to the wind, even as they struggle to find a contract common ground with star wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, they could go out and make a trade for another star receiver looking for a new contract. The Vikings' Justin Jeferson. You might have heard of him. That's the outlandish proposal from the Vikings wire site at USA Today, which looked at possible trade packages Minnesota could bring in if its stalemate with Jeferson on a new deal persisted. The proposed package would be a doozy, with Jeferson landing in Dallas and the Cowboys giving up first and third round draft picks in the 2025 NFL Draft, first round pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, CB Jordan Lewis, and WR Jalen Tolbert. Jeferson is looking to be the highest paid receiver in the game, and probably should, with Lamb a close number 2. As USA Today's Andrew Harbaugh wrote, "That sort of money and contract can be a burden to hammer out, and sides could break things off in time. Because there are universes where the extension doesn't get done, we wanted to explore some trades. Cowboys would have to change course for a blockbuster trade. Hard to imagine a universe, though, in which the Cowboys spent much of the winter and spring crying poverty, allowing about a third of the team's starters to bolt through free agency or retirement, then turn around and give up half of the team's future picks in the first 3 rounds to get a player who would line up opposite Lamb." Jeferson is coming off a year that was cut short by injury, but earned Pro Bowl spots in each of his first 3 NFL seasons. He led the NFL in catches, 128, and yardage, 1,809 in 2022, and has racked up an average of 98.3 yards per game in his career. It's a great wide receiver combo, and perhaps the Cowboys could structure contracts to make it work under the salary cap. Certainly, the potential of a Lamb-Jefferson wide receiver duo leaves open the possibility that Dak Prescott would then be re-signed too, lowering his cap number for the upcoming season. That would fly in the face of the stance the Cowboys have taken to this point on 2024, when they appear to want their current roster to prove their worth before committing to them financially. More specifically, they want Prescott to show his worth. But Spatrack projects Jeferson to get a 4-year, $130 million contract in an extension, and puts Lamb's value slightly higher, at 4 years and $135 million. How, exactly, the Cowboys could be expected to pay out nearly $70 million per year for two receivers is a mystery. CeeDee Lamb contract to get done in July. Back on Earth, the reality for both Jeferson and Lamb is that they're both all but certain to remain with their current teams on new contracts in the coming months, or weeks, the hope is. While the Cowboys might not come to new agreements with Prescott or star Micah Parsons, a Lamb deal is likely to get done before training camp, or soon after it starts, according to ESPN beat writer Todd Archer. If more leaves fall, such as a Justin Jefferson deal with Minnesota, then the price for Lamb could go even higher, Archer wrote this week. Of the Cowboys' big three deals for Prescott, Lamb, and Micah Parsons, the talks with Lamb could begin in earnest soon, with an eye on getting finalized in training camp. He has skipped the off-season program for the first time and worked on his own, but Lamb has gotten in multiple throwing sessions with Prescott. Cowboys free agent could sign with Commanders before 2024 season. The Dallas Cowboys have already seen their former defensive coordinator Dan Quinn join the Washington Commanders, but he may not be the only one. As June approaches, corner Stephon Gilmore has yet to find a new team and the Commanders are an apparent fit. At least, that's how Commanders wire writer Brian Manning sees it. In a May 29th article, Manning makes the case for Washington signing the 33-year-old. There's a perfect candidate available who has played for head coach Dan Quinn and defensive coordinator Joe Witt Jr., Manning wrote. Gilmore to Washington makes sense. The Commanders have signed numerous veterans to short-term deals who have connections to the new coaching staff. The logic is sound, as Gilmore and Quinn are familiar with each other. That being said, it's not like they've spent several years together. In fact, the 2023 season was the first and only year Quinn and Gilmore have been on the same team. Still, the prospect of Washington getting Gilmore isn't ideal for Cowboys fans. Gilmore was a reliable, good addition for Dallas last fall, and having to face him rather than support him is a challenge. Gilmore entering 13th NFL season, corners don't often have a shelf life of 10-plus seasons, but Gilmore has been an exception. While he is past his prime at this point, the former South Carolina Gamecock is still a top-end corner in the league. He is 4 years removed from his 2019 Defensive Player of the Year campaign with the New England Patriots, where he swatted 20 total passes and grabbed 6 interceptions. But as Pro Football Reference shows, he has pulled down 2+ interceptions in 3 of the 4 seasons since. Statistically, last year's run with Dallas was his best season since his peak with the Patriots. Gilmore grabbed 2 interceptions and registered 13 passes defended, while also adding a forced fumble. Each passing year is a question with Gilmore, as it is for any mid-30s NFL player. But if the Cowboys or other teams are just going off the tape and numbers, getting his signature wouldn't be a bad thing. Could Cowboys still sign Gilmore? At this point, just about anyone in the NFL is in the running for Gilmore. He's a quality player that most teams would improve by adding, but it's a waiting game for both the player and the suitors. Gilmore can likely get paid more money by waiting until a team truly needs him as a starter. That is possibly why the Cowboys haven't brought him back, as Trevon Diggs is returning from his ACL tear and Darren Bland has emerged as an every-snap player. And if Gilmore has it his way, a reunion with the Carolina Panthers could be in the cards. As Heavy covered previously, Panthers defensive end Jadeveon Clowney said Gilmore wants to be back in Carolina. Jadeveon Clowney on Stephon Gilmore. "I'm going to try to get him to pull up too," says Gilmore told him he's trying to get the Panthers to bring him back. The Athletic reporter Jeferson wrote on X on March 29th.